हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा नाम है हरम एजुकेशन वाला। और आज हम माया के साथ बात करेंगे। और उसके साथ माया बेसिकली एक एआई टूल है जिससे हम कन्वर्सेशन कर सकते हैं। तो आज हमारे कन्वर्सेशन का टॉपिक होगा ओवरकमिंग प्रोक्रास्टिनेशन स्ट्रेटजीज दैट वर्क ऑन योर सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स। तो ये आज का हमारा टॉपिक है। थोड़ा हार्ड है लेकिन हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हम माया के साथ कन्वर्सेशन करें।
You doing tonight?
I am going good, Maya. How are you doing?
Gotcha. You're heading to Maya. A little confusing since that's my name. Haha. I'm all right. Just hanging out here. What's on your mind?
Maya, what exactly is procrastination and why do people do it?
Okay. So procrastination, it's basically intentionally putting off tasks, right? Like you know you should be doing something, but you choose to do something else instead. As for why people do it, it's messy. A lot of times it's about mood. People avoid things they think will make them feel bad. It's not always laziness, though that can be part of it. Sometimes it's fear of failure or perfectionism, a task feel overwhelming. Does that track?
Firstly, tell me the meaning of the procrastination.
You still with Great. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get a little carried away. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing a task or set of tasks. It's basically choosing to do something else, often something more enjoyable instead of what you actually need to do. Simple as that.
Is procrastination always bad or can it sometimes be useful?
That's a good question. It's usually seen as bad, yeah, but it's not always totally useless. Sometimes a little procrastination can actually be beneficial. If you're facing a problem where you need some space to think or gather more info, putting it off can let your subconscious work on it. It can also help you prioritize. If you're constantly delaying something, maybe it's not actually that important. But generally, consistently putting things off is a recipe for stress. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. You are right.
Good.
And
Not just saying that, I hope. Seriously, though, glad we're on the same page. So, you seem pretty interested.
what?
Well, is a
Yes. What are the main reason people delay important tasks?
Okay. So, digging into the reasons, a big one is fear. Fear of failure, fear of success even. Perfectionism definitely plays a role, making a task feel too big to start. Then you've got tasks that are just plain boring or unpleasant. Sometimes it's a lack of motivation or not really seeing the value in what you're doing. Honestly, poor time management and difficulty with organization are huge factors too. Sound about right?
Good answer. How can we tell if we are procrastinating or just talking a healthy break?
That's a really insightful question, actually. It's tricky, right? It's about the intent. A healthy brain break is intentional. You're consciously choosing to step away to recharge, knowing you'll return to the task. Procrastination feels more avoidant. There's usually guilt or anxiety attached. You're distracting yourself, but not in a restorative way. Does that make sense? It's the feeling behind the delay.
Why do smart or creative people often struggle more with procrastination?
Okay, this is interesting. Smart and creative people often struggle with procrastination because they tend to have a lot going on upstairs. You know, they can get lost in possibilities, overthink things, and struggle with perfectionism, believe everything has to be brilliant before it's even started. They also might find routine tasks Incredibly boring compared to the exciting ideas they have buzzing around. Basically, their their brains are working against them sometimes. Does that resonate?
Yeah, sure. And my
You still there?
question is, Maya, what happening in your brain when we procrastinate?
Ah, you want to know what's going on under the hood when someone procrastinates? Okay, so there's a battle happening in the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for planning and decision making. The limbic system, which deals with emotions and rewards, is saying, do something that feels good now. And the prefrontal cortex is trying to say, no, got to do the work. Usually the prefrontal cortex wins, but when you procrastinate, the limbic system kind of overrides it. It's a neurochemical thing, really. Dopamine levels are involved too. It's kind of messy in there.
Yes.
You still with me? Just checking.
How
We could
does
switch gears
fear
if you.
how does fear of failure or perfectionism cause procrastination?
Okay, so fear of failure and perfectionism are like a 1-2 punch for procrastination. If you're terrified of not meeting your own, usually unrealistically high standards, starting a task feels threatening. You're almost setting yourself up for disappointment. Perfectionism makes it so nothing feels good enough to even begin, so you avoid it altogether. It's easier to do nothing than to risk falling short. That sound familiar? It's a real cycle.
Yeah.
Still there? Just want to make sure I'm not talking to a wall. Haha.
Hmm.
Sometimes it feels like that with text, you know? So that makes sense to you, the connection between fear and putting things off?
No, I'm in text. Sorry for that.
Gotcha. Fair enough. My bad. Sometimes I just lose the thread in text. So
Okay.
you were
Can procrastination be a sign of deeper emotional issue like anxiety?
definitely. Procrastination can absolutely be a symptom of underlying anxiety or other emotional issues when you're constantly putting things off. It might not be about the task itself, but about the anxiety it triggers. Like, if you're afraid of being judged, you might procrastinate on projects where your work will be evaluated. Or if you're dealing with depression, a lack of motivation can make even simple tasks feel impossible. Not always just a willpower thing, it can be your brain signaling something else is up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. So, knowing that, do you think it's helpful to treat procrastination as a symptom instead of a character flaw?
Maya, tell me, how can someone build the discipline to do hard things constantly? Constantly.
Right, constantly. Building discipline isn't about willpower, it's about systems. Start small. Seriously, tiny habits. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight. Break down big tasks to ridiculously small steps. Then focus on consistency over intensity. Schedule those small steps. Treat them like appointments. And reward yourself not with something that sabotages your goal, but with something genuinely enjoyable. It's about creating a feedback loop where doing the hard thing feels less hard. What do you think about that approach?
Uh, why do deadlines suddenly make us productive at the last minute?
Ah, the deadline rush. That's a classic. It's a bunch of things. Primarily, it's the surge of adrenaline and cortisol, stress hormones that kick in when the pressure's on, focuses your attention, sharpens your senses. There's also a psychological element. The fear of the consequences of missing the deadline finally outweighs the discomfort of doing the work. Basically, you're operating on panic mode, which surprisingly can be effective in the short term. Not a great long term strategy, though, right?
Maya, how can mindfulness or meditation help us focus better?
Okay, so mindfulness and meditation They're not about stopping thoughts, it's about observing them without getting carried away. When you practice regularly, you're training your brain to be less reactive and more focused. It's like building a muscle for attention. You become more aware of when your mind is wandering and you can gently redirect it back to the task at hand. It also reduces stress, which, as we talked about, is a huge distraction. Helps create space between you and your thoughts.
Okay, great answer, Maya. How can students and young professionals overcome procrastination in their studies or work?
All right. For students and young professionals specifically, first, time boxing. Schedule specific blocks of time for a specific task. Second, eliminate distractions. Put your phone on do not disturb. Close unnecessary tabs. Third, use the Pomodoro technique. Work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. It's about working in bursts. Fourth, find an accountability partner, someone to check in with and keep you on track. And finally, be kind to yourself. Everyone procrastinates sometimes. It's about learning to manage it, not beating yourself up over it. Does any of that sound particularly useful to you?
Yes, these points are very important and useful for me. And my last question is, what's a message you would give to people who want to take control of their time?
Hmm. If I could give one message to people wanting to take control of their time, it'd be this: you don't need to magically become a disciplined person. Start with one tiny change, one small habit. Focus on making progress, not perfection. And remember, your time is your most valuable resource. Protect it fiercely. That's it. What do you think?
Nice, nice answer, Maya. Now I am ending the conversation. Thanks to talk with me, Maya.
Oh, all right, Sir Maya. Glad I could chat. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you.
You too.